Okay, in this session here, I'm going to show you how to sign up for Google Apps for Education. So, just to get started, Google Apps for Education is essentially just a way that you, as educators, whether you're an administrator, classroom teacher, or ICT lead for your district, you can sort of manage the Google accounts that your students are going to use on the front line. So instead of just having to go in and set up and authenticate a bunch of different Gmail accounts, you can get authenticated as a school within Google Apps for Education and then use that as a way to create several accounts, control the password, the username, what they have access to, what they don't have access to. And so the onus is more on you in terms of how they access these Google apps, whether it be Google Drive, Docs, or some of the Chrome extensions that you can use. So this is applicable if you're using just any kind of netbook, laptop, iPad, Android device, and or Chromebook. This is essentially for you. So let's get started. First things first, I'm going to go to Google Apps for Education. And I'm just going to download this or head to the site. And you'll see here it kind of does this little bit in terms of the product and how it works. But let's just go to how to get Google Apps for Education and get apps for education. So first things first, decide what school it is that you're going to use. So for me, I'm going to do Beaconsfield. Beaconsfield Middle is a school that is interested in pursuing this. So I want to keep it like nondescript. So I'm just going to say Beaconsfield Middle, and current email address is that one there, and the institution name. So it's good to have this stuff ahead of time to know what you're going to be logging in with or what you're going to be putting in. As long as you have the address, you should be good to go. So once you have this info, you need to make sure that you don't put in this address here, but put in the actual URL that sort of forwards to it. So if you're in New Brunswick, this is kind of the system we use. You wouldn't grab this URL, the web one, you'd grab this one down here, the actual website. So your school has a specific URL for it, and you can find that on the Contact Us section of your website, and that's the one you want to include. And you'll see why later. So the number of school and staff, or students and staff. Now in this section you're going to say use a domain name I've already purchased, and that's where I'll put that link in again, bms.mbed.nb.ca. And so you'll see that all the emails now, your Google accounts aren't going to end in @Gmail, they're going to end in @bms.nbed.nb.ca. So let's create the admin one. Put a password here. Prove that I'm human. Don't select this and select I have read and I agree. Now it's going to ask you to log in with that account, and you'll see I have all these other ones here, but I'm just going to add the one that I just created. So admin at bms.nbed.nb.ca, and put the password that I just used. And then now you're going to have to do the phone verification. You can either use text message or automated voice call. So just put that in here, make sure. Now, they do have a system set up where they try and block numbers if they're used too many times. If this is the case, then just switch phone numbers and find someone else that may have a number that will work. They just try and make sure that you're not going to create like 1,000 accounts in one day. Now you'll see, doesn't take long and you get the phone call.
Thank you for using Google Phone Verification. Remember, you should not share this code with anyone else, and no one from Google will ever ask for this code.
Now that I have verified that, you'll see that it gives me a number of different options here. This is the admin console. You can do a number of different things here, which you'll see in subsequent videos, but for now, you just need to continue your setup. So let's go to Start Setup and verify the domain. And depending upon where you're at, if you're using SharePoint in New Brunswick, this is the option for you. If you're not, then there are a number of different ways that you can verify your ownership of that domain. But for now, we're just going to go into the master pages of the SharePoint site and add some meta tags. So let's get started. This right here is the meta tag value that we need to put on our master page. And I'll do that in the next step. Okay, now on to part 2, which is putting in the meta tags to verify your ownership. I'm just going to use a virtual machine on my Mac right now. And what you're going to need to do if you're using SharePoint is to open up SharePoint Designer and then open up a site. Getting access to the master pages, we just have to click on master pages here on the left. Depending upon, this is just specifically for a couple sites in St. John, but just as an example, we will find Beaconsfield. We will check it in, and we're going to check it out to ourselves, open it up, and edit this file. And you'll see up here at the top, these are the meta tags. So all we need to do is copy this, paste this in here, make sure that we save this. So let's refresh that. Let's exit out of that. It's going to ask us if we want to save it. Hit yes. And then finally, just to make sure, you want to go back and make sure that you check that in and publish a major version. Then and only then will this actually work. So now that we've completed that, we can come back here, say I've added the meta tag, click on verify, and then this should move along very smoothly. Cool. So now we can continue setup. The next step is actually quite important. This is where you're going to get into adding the users, so you can add them here. I mean, there's a component to adding Gmail in there. If you don't add in the Gmail, that means none of the students will have access to Gmail, which is great because we don't really want them to be using these accounts for Gmail. We want them to be using these for docs and drives and that kind of stuff. Now, you can set this up for the students if you so wish. It doesn't really seem to be all that easy with SharePoint. I'm going to leave it for now. If you do set it up, you can turn it off later though. Now, let's go to users, and you'll see the one user right now is the admin one that I originally created. And if I want, I can add more users. There's another video that goes along with this that shows you how to add users. That one doesn't necessarily, that video will show you what will happen once you get, you'll see these two things here, the emails that just popped up. Those things have only gone through just because I verified that domain. in those emails, I'll show you, is what you have to go through to ensure that you are authenticated as a school to add more emails or Google accounts. So as of right now, you have access to add users, but they're going to be pending. And what you need to do is go to your email and find an email that looks exactly like this. Sign up confirmation and upgrading to Google Apps for Education. You need to do this confirmation step, and you need to click on this right here. Complete your upgrade to Education Edition for Google Apps. Until you get this, when you add users, they still have to go in and be authenticated through a phone or through an email, and it's still a labor-intensive process. So this is the final step. As long as you're still logged in on whatever browser you're using, as you can see up in the top corner there, admin, then I can fill this out. Okay? And so now I'm just gonna put in my credentials. So now I'm just gonna put in my credentials. And now this is important here at the bottom. This is essentially the last step, and then you're good to go. The number of user accounts required. So at this school we have about 300 students. So I'm going to add 400 because that includes any extras you may need and any teacher accounts. So we're just going to put 400. And then in this detailed description, I would identify yourself, so and the school and the intended purpose of the Google Apps for Education. So. Now once you have this description filled out, all you have to do is hit submit. And the best thing when you're applying for Google Apps for Education is to include a message along with it and identifying yourself. I've done this for 4 other schools and I've had no problem getting certification within a week. So I find this way they're more likely to add you in if they know that there's a person behind it and what the actual purpose behind the upgrade request is for. So once I hit submit, I'm good to go. There will be more videos in this series on Google Apps for Education. Check us out on our YouTube channel and at asdstech.com.